As I stood by my father's grave, grappling with the pain of loss, I never expected the ground to shift beneath my feet. In a moment that would change everything I thought I knew, two familiar faces from our neighborhood emerged, and with them, a shocking revelation. My father had a secret life and two hidden siblings I never knew existed. What would this mean for my family? And how could a lifetime of lies unravel in a single day? Join me as I uncover the truth that shattered my world and forced me to confront the very foundation of my identity. The air was thick with sorrow. Friends and family gathered, their faces etched with grief, but I felt an undercurrent of tension that made my skin crawl. I had always thought of my father as larger than life, a man of honor and integrity, someone who had built our family from the ground up. But as I gazed at the casket, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to uncover a truth that would shatter everything I believed. And then, from the corner of my eye, I saw them, the Johnsons, our neighbors for years. The three kids I had played with in the backyard, sharing countless summer days filled with laughter. But today they stood apart, their expressions somber and filled with an emotion I couldn't quite place. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. What could they possibly be thinking, standing there at a moment like this? As the service unfolded, my mind drifted to happier times. I remembered my father's laughter, the way he would toss me in the air, his warm embrace that made everything feel right in the world. But then, as the minister spoke of his life, an unsettling feeling crept in. There were whispers, hushed tones that seemed to linger in the air like a bad omen. When the ceremony ended and people began to disperse, I overheard a conversation that felt like a punch to the gut. "He should have told them," Mrs. Johnson said to my mother, her voice low and trembling. My heart raced. What were they talking about? I approached them, my hands shaking with rage and confusion. "What do you mean?" The silence that followed was deafening. My mother turned to me, tears streaming down her face, and finally said, "Your father had a life before us, a life he never shared." What could she possibly mean? I felt the ground shift beneath my feet as she continued. "He had children with the Johnsons, two of their kids, they're your siblings." Shock coursed through my veins. It was as if the world had stopped spinning. All those shared childhood memories, the laughter, the games, were they built on a foundation of lies? My heart raced, and I looked at the Johnson kids, who suddenly felt like strangers. The days that followed were a blur of grief and confusion. How could my father have kept such monumental secrets? And as the news of his death spread, so did the revelation of his hidden life. With the inheritance left behind, a substantial fortune built from years of hard work, the Johnsons began to assert their claim. They said they deserved a share, that they were entitled to what my father had built. What ensued was a chaotic storm of emotions. I felt anger at my father for keeping such secrets, anger at the Johnsons for intruding on my grief, and yet, beneath it all, I felt a strange connection to them. They were my siblings, after all, bound by blood, whether I liked it or not. The conflict escalated as discussions turned into heated arguments. My mother, overwhelmed by the situation, became withdrawn. I found myself stepping into a role I never wanted, mediating between our family and the Johnsons. The once warm and familiar neighborhood turned cold and hostile, and I was caught in the middle of a war for inheritance. Sleepless nights turned into weeks filled with turmoil. I replayed memories of my father, grappling with the man I adored and the reality of his betrayal. How could I reconcile the loving father with this hidden life? My heart ached with the weight of loss and confusion. One evening, as I sat alone in my room clutching a photo of my father, I felt the floodgates of emotions open. I remembered his laughter, his guidance, and the way he had always encouraged me to be strong. Despite the betrayal, I couldn't let his legacy be overshadowed by greed and resentment. There had to be a way to honor him and embrace this newfound reality. With newfound resolve, I reached out to the Johnsons, inviting them over for a conversation. As we sat together, the weight of our shared loss hung in the air. I looked at them, seeing not just rivals but siblings, people who had loved the same man I had. "Let's find a way to honor our father together," I proposed, my voice trembling but resolute. "He may have kept secrets, but he also built a life that we all benefited from. Instead of fighting, let's celebrate him and come to an agreement that honors what he left behind." To my surprise, they nodded, their expressions softening. We began to share memories, recounting stories of my father that brought smiles amidst the tears. We laughed and cried, transforming our grief into something powerful. Through open dialogue, we navigated the complexities of our father's estate. Together, we reached a resolution that felt right, a fair division of the inheritance that respected my father's legacy while acknowledging our newfound bond. In the end, I emerged not only as my father's daughter, but as a sister to two others I had never known. The journey was painful, but it was also one of triumph, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of forgiveness. As I stood at my father's grave once more, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I had faced the darkness and found light, not just for myself, but for the family I never knew I had. In honoring my father's legacy, I had discovered my own. If you found this story of hidden family secrets, heartbreak, and unexpected bonds as captivating as I did, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever uncovered a family secret that changed your life? I'd love to hear your stories. And if you want to dive deeper into more emotional journeys and dramatic revelations, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Together, let's explore the complexities of family, love, and the truths that bind us. Thank you for listening.